But Sean Hannity has joined us in studio.
What's up, guys? How are you?
How are you, Sean?
I'm not used to this TV radio thing.
I know.
Right.
I know.
I got to pick this thing up.
You can. Yeah. He comes in and he's got his jacket on. He's like,
so I worked here. You were nice enough to lend me these studios. I worked in these studios for a few months, and I was stunned at how big this place is and what's going on here. Huge.
Yeah, I don't think anybody, and we like it that way. I don't think anybody really kind of understands what we're building.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand. And even those who do understand the blaze don't understand the scope of what's coming. I'm convinced, Sean, by 2016, we will have a deep cultural impact.
Well, I think you're already having an impact. The blaze is certainly having an impact. And, you know, I'm best friend. You know, I am an honorary member of the Liberty Treehouse, which is right outside this door here.
I know.
And we have a great time. Well, Schmidt is right, though. I mean, I said this at the time because I watched you from a distance. We weren't very close at the time.
Right.
We've since gotten close. That'll drive the left nuts.
I know.
And I just think you were way ahead of your time. I mean, you've been able to integrate radio, television, cable, the internet, and pull it together. And you've got a massive movie studio. God only knows what you're going to end up doing with that.
Oh, wait until you hear.
Wait.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
It's really good stuff.
I mean, I work hard. I don't know where you get the time to do all this.
I just have a really good staff.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were talking about this the other day, that this is what bothers me about this redistribution nonsense. I work really hard. You work really hard. But there are people, I mean, Sean, you could be doing much more than you're doing right now. You choose not to. And so you choose, you know what?
I've got a family.
Yeah.
So I choose to be a father, too. I mean,
correct.
I got off the road, meaning speeches, freedom concerts, things that I did for a long time. It was a conscious decision because my son now entered high school this year.
Right.
And I just felt like I've got 4 more years with him and I didn't want to miss him.
Correct.
Period.
And so what bothers me about this redistribution thing is we all make our own choices.
Sure.
You know, everybody makes their own choices and you can, so why take it away from me or you? You know that to get where you got to, you had to do things and work hard and work hours and everything else that you didn't want to do, that others aren't willing to do. They just expect that it's going to be handed to them.
Do you ever meet people that say, what do I got to do to get into radio? And my answer usually, their face goes from excitement to like, really? Work for free?
Yeah.
Hang out at radio stations 24 hours a day.
Right.
Work for little money. Travel all over the country.
I just gave a speech at a radio conference, and some guy got up.
By the way, congratulations on your award.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But somebody got up before and said, you know, I can't find a job and yada yada yada. And I said, you know, when I was 13 and got into this, there were only a couple of opportunities, you know, in the market. But now you have the internet. Now you can do a podcast. Show people what you can do on a podcast. You don't need the traditional radio signal anymore. It is changing so dramatically that you can be a star around the world and you can do it from your own home.
Look, media is changing. Content providers, that's the answer.
Right.
Are you providing content, news, information, opinion, entertainment that people want, need, and desire? That's it. If you provide that, if you build it, I'm convinced they will come.
They will.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the platform is. We've been going back and forth on Comcast and all these people that are trying.
Good luck.
No, I know. Yeah. I know. And I don't think I have a chance with Comcast. But Comcast is playing the game of, well, we know we'll be around in 10 years. Will you be around in 10 years? I'm not sure Comcast will be around in 10 years.
Maybe not.
I mean, things are changing so dramatically, and being connected to one another, it doesn't matter what the device is anymore.
I don't know how this is all going to play out. It's going to be interesting. You know, even from terrestrial radio, how that evolves.
You know, in Europe, they've just gotten rid of the AM band in the cars.
Did they really?
Yeah. You buy a car in Europe, I think it's this year or next year, there will be no AM band on the radio.
Look at what iHeartRadio can do now, where you can plug that into your car,
right,
and you can pick up any radio station you love anywhere.
I was in some place in Texas. I don't remember where I was. I was walking and I heard Z100, and I thought, there's a Z100 here? And I listened, and it was Z100 New York. And it was in a store or someplace, and they were just listening to Z100.
It was probably either on iHeart or on satellite.
Yeah.
Z100 is on satellite.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you're everywhere. You can be anywhere.
The sad part is there is a downside for those of us in this business, and that is that if somebody listens to a radio station online, you don't get listening credit because it's not measured. If somebody listens on satellite or on iHeart or on the Blaze or on a host site, you don't get, quote, rating credit for it. So measurement, unfortunately, for all of us in radio is deeply impacted, and the technology has far surpassed the measurement levels.
Right.
And so, well, ratings are down on this station. Not necessarily.
Yeah, I know. They're just
As a matter of fact,
in different ways.
They don't count large portions of people that listen on different platforms.
Correct. The other thing is, though, an industry is dying when they run to the federal government for help.
Yeah.
Are you shocked at the FCC thing?
Yeah.
That is.
I want to know who's going to get the job of monitoring Glenn Beck and Glenn Beck's Blaze studio.
Can you imagine? Who's going to stand? Can you imagine doing what you do?
No.
With somebody standing in the room taking notes. I mean, if that's not Gestapo stuff, I don't know what is.
It's pretty 1984ish, don't you think?
How do you judge the reaction of the American people? Because I think if that would have happened 5 years ago, people would have, because that's the kind of stuff, Sean, that we've been warning about was coming. Look, you don't understand. This is the kind of stuff that's coming.
We've lived under this threat for a long time.
Right.
There are two real threats. One is the government threat, like the FCC issue that came up.
Right.
The second one is you've got these heavily funded groups, and there are people that monitor us, Rush, Levin,
right,
any conservative, Fox News, 24/7 in the hopes.
They are transcribing right now.
Right now. They'll transcribe every word in the hope that there's one word, sentence, phrase that they can use, and then they'll target your advertisers.
Right.
All to stymie and stifle
free speech
and opposition thought. So far, they've not been successful. They thought they had a foothold with you for a while.
Yeah.
And
I told them when I left Fox, I said, be careful, all those who are celebrating.
I remember that.
Because you will pray for the day when I was only on television for an hour. Yeah. And that time is about to happen. They will be praying. Oh, dear God.
You know, the thing that makes me most nervous is I think half the country's asleep. I think half the country is locked in this hypnotic trance. They don't know what's going on. They don't pay attention to news. That we're a honey boo boo and Kardashian culture.
You sound like Mike Rowe.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
And how many people really know what the government's doing in their lives? How many people care?
How many of us do you think, because you and I have the same stigma, you and I both have been accused of being Republican shills. And both of us believed in the Republican Party.
For a while.
I got out faster than you did, but you got out, and we're both now looking at each other going, can you believe where we are now?
Has anyone listened to me in the last year or listened to you in the last number of years? The Republican Party today is a shadow of what an opposition party ought to be. They are afraid of their own shadow. They're timid. They
don't believe.
Uninspiring.
They don't believe in anything that they don't believe. I don't think they believe in the Constitution. They believe in winning.
I don't even think I don't even think their strategy for winning is particularly good.
No. I'm not saying that they're good strategists. I'm saying, but that's all they believe in is just power. Yeah. They don't believe the way to win is to believe in something, and the way what people are looking for on both sides of the aisle is somebody who will say, I believe in the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
I believe in the Fourth Amendment. I believe in the First Amendment.
There were two moments of conservatism in modern history that they're missing the key ingredient. Reagan was viewed as a Tea Party member in 1976 when he challenged the sitting president, Gerald Ford, and nearly won.
Right.
He was considered radical among the establishment. And then the contract with America was a fairly radical document. Both instances, they had an inspiring agenda where people could say, I support lower taxes. I support limited government. Government is the problem. And they went out and they articulated it versus, say, today where last week the House and Senate give a blank check to Obama to raise the debt ceiling for a year.
So
that's not an opposition party.
No, it's not. I got to take a break. And then when we come back, I want to ask you about Rand Paul's strategy.
I like him.
And Ted Cruz's strategy.
I like him too.
I do too. both of them, they're approaching it from opposite ends. They both believe in the same thing, but one is kind of burrowing in and trying to go through the system. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the other is like, screw the system. And I think it's interesting that the one who is the classic libertarian is trying to go through the system.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Coming up in just a second. Our sponsor this half hour. So Sean Hannity and I are having lunch today here in New York, and he's been kind enough to stop by and just chat with us on the
I'm excited.
air.
What are we eating? Can you put my headphones up a hair louder, whoever has control of them?
I
think he's saying
Glenn,
you do.
that's you.
Glenn,
that's just,
I think on the other side.
Yeah, a little slider there.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Now I can hear
there
myself.
You go. Okay. He knows more about my own studio than I do.
I lived here. I feel like a part of the family.
So let me talk to you about Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, because everybody says to me, which one do you like? And my response is both.
Both.
I'll take both. But they have different strategies. And I think Rand is looking at the experience of his father, who laid all the cards down on the table, really kind of is going the Ted Cruz way, laying the cards down on the table and saying, yep, this is the way it is. And you saw what happened to Ron Paul. So Rand is kind of going in and saying, hey, buddy, everything is awesome. And I don't think he's not one of those guys.
No.
And then we have to sit here and look, and I think Rand is saying, I might be able to have some of the GOP establishment kind of stand behind me, but I honestly think of John McCain. Those people will knife you in the back so fast.
Never support either one of them.
Which one do you think has the better strategy? The one that's going kind of the traditional way that might pull some more middle ground, or the guy who's just saying, this is wrong and I'm standing against it?
It's too early to tell. You know, it's I'm not convinced Cruz is in yet. I am convinced that Rand is in.
Yeah, I am too.
And how did we get to the point? This is what I want to know. Where Ted Cruz has become, how do we deal with a problem like Maria?
I know.
How do we deal with a problem like Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz to me represents every one of those guys ran on the things that Ted Cruz is fighting for.
Yep.
Every one of them.
He's the only one that's actually doing it.
He's the one that kept his promise, and he's the bad guy.
I know.
So I admire him,
right,
just for the fact that he's standing on his principles.
Right.
He's got a problem because I think they're trying to do to him what they did to Governor Palin, what they've done to you and Rush and talk radio in general. I think they want to smear, slander, besmirch, attack, demonize.
So they're going to do that. Did you read the story on from New York Times on Rand Paul a few weeks ago?
Doing the same thing with him. And
they'll destroy. That's what they do.
If they'll do that to Mitt Romney, who's about as good a man as you'll ever meet, they'll do it to anybody. And
right.
If binders becomes an issue in a campaign, or what you did when you were in high school to a kid, that you cut his hair, then you got a problem.
Do you think it matters, though, by 2016?
It depends on the American people. Here's the American people have to decide this. Are they willing to accept an America where 50 million Americans are on food stamps? The labor participation rate's the lowest since 1978. 1 in 5 American children are in poverty. 1 in 6 adults are in poverty. Are they willing to accept more of that, or are they now open to the idea that we've gone in the wrong direction and America needs conservative solutions to change? I've often heard you say on your show, it's not about left or right, it's about right and wrong. I would argue that conservative principles are the right ones that will work if applied. And I'll give you one example. Scott Walker. I love this guy for one reason. He had a $3.5 billion budget deficit, turned it into $1 billion budget surplus, and he did it by laying his entire career on the line.
Yes.
Getting recalled, making the case, and then applying the principles that he fought for, and they work. That would work nationally, too.
Yes, it would. He's also for Common Core, which kind of throws me.
That throws me, too.
It throws me a bit. But I kind of actually want to stay on conservatives, what you were just saying about conservatives and right and wrong, because we've kind of had an internal argument about the word conservative here. And I want to talk to you about that. And also Hillary Clinton. I heard an interesting theory last week that I want to share with you on Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Inside Dope on Hillary. Coming up. Glenn Beck program.
The Blaze Radio Network.
All right, so I want to talk about a few things.
Can I have a confession first?
Yeah.
So you were kind enough to lend me your studio, and you're kind enough to lend me your office. You gave me your big, massive office that overlooks the Empire State Building.
It's nice.
One of the nicest offices I've ever had.
And you took great care of it.
Do you know how much I stole when I was here? I stole your coffee. I stole your chips. I just went in there and I picked out every day.
May I say, when my when I knew I had to propose to my wife, when I said to her, because I was just a really broken person when I met her, and I was trying to put my life back together, and I was standing behind her, and I had my arm around her, and I could just feel the goodness coming out of her, and I said to her, I want you to know I am stealing light from you, and without hesitation, if I may answer you by quoting her, you cannot steal that which is being given.
Very well. First, it's so rare that you go to a workplace these days and the employer provides pretzels, chips, apples, coffee, drinks.
There's a method to that madness, though. He knows we'll stay here longer.
That's exactly right.
The premise.
That's exactly right. I mean, we were having a conversation. I was having I had dinner with some people on Friday, and some of the guys that were at the table were real leftist, and they brought up Obamacare, and I'm like, oh, geez, for the love of God. And I said, you know what the solution is? The free market. Oh, the free market has worked, or the free market's had its try. It doesn't work. And I said, really? Here I am, an employer. I have the only one. I have the best health insurance money can buy. The only employer in all of New York to offer this insurance. We take care of everybody. There's no copay. Or a $20 copay, but you're not paying for it during the month. I pick up all of the costs for everybody.
Right.
Okay. Well, he said, okay, and I said, you know what? There's two reasons.
I think I've had the same dinner.
I know.
Yeah.
There's two reasons. One, you could be, because that's who I want to be. I want to take care of people like I would take care of my own family. One. But two, that's also great business.
Sure.
And that's what people need to understand about business is if you take care of your people, they'll take care of you.
100%.
I mean,
smart business.
The left just doesn't get it. Anyway,
no.
We were talking about conservative and liberal and left and right and everything else before we took a break. And I know you're working on conservative solutions. It's one of the big things that you're talking about now and leading. And I want to ask you, do you think, this is an argument we have, do you think the word conservative means anything anymore to the middle? Because they have done such a great job at destroying the word conservative. Because, quite honestly, and the GOP has done it too, John McCain will say he's a conservative. Lindsey Graham will say he's a conservative. And he's not. He's a progressive. So do you need to say small government or constitutional conservative?
Maybe. Not a bad idea.
Because I'm a libertarian conservative. Mm-hmm. And most people say they don't go together. But yes, they do, and they should.
I bet you're pro-life. I am.
But that's a life thing. That's not.
I know, but most people that would identify as libertarian would not. I don't want to get off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Look, to me, this is very simple. I think we're losing the country.
Yeah.
Serious side of me.
Yeah.
The numbers that I gave you earlier about people in poverty, people getting food stamps. These are real lives, real people, really impacted negatively, and I think unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. I think America could be the land of success and prosperity.
The shiny beacon of the rest of the world.
All of that could.
Yeah.
Look.
Overnight.
If we would just do two simple things, mm-hmm. and I'm trying to get the Republicans to wake up and be an alternative party, that bold-colored difference that Reagan talked about. If we live within our means, I support the penny plan. If you have a better plan, I'm all ears.
Me too.
Penny plan is you cut a penny out of every dollar that government spends every year for 6 years, and you actually balance the budget.
That's incredible.
It's incredible, right? You would think that's impossible. Any American that finds themselves in a position where they're spending too much money and they have credit card debt, you tell them they can cut 1 penny out of spending of every dollar, they take that deal in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. Second part of it is the answer is underneath our feet. I keep interviewing everybody that I can that is involved in the energy business. And between oil reserves, fracking potential, natural gas, we are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas, coal, we have combined more energy than the entire Middle East combined.
I know.
So we keep hearing.
This is truly a blessed land.
It's a blessed land. And look at North Dakota. The unemployment rate's 2.6%, 3% Midland, Texas. All right. So where they have drilled on private lands, it has resulted in huge economic booms. These are boom towns where drivers, because I'm getting people jobs now, are getting $100,000 a year.
Yep.
And they're buying homes and they're buying new trucks and they're paying for their kids' college and they're putting away for a rainy day and their lives are being transformed. Now, if we institutionalize that in every state in the country, which we all have the potential, you have the potential in Utah, you have the potential in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
New York has fracking potential.
I know.
Massive.
And they're dying.
They're dying in upstate New York. All right, so if you
go up to upstate New York,
I do.
You see the anti-fracking signs and billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Okay, but that's not the people of New York.
Right.
Those are the outside environmental
Correct.
extremists. If you did, Glenn, those two things, if we tapped into our energy resources and we cut 1 penny out of every dollar, we'd save Social Security, we'd pay down the deficit, we'd stop robbing from our kids. And, you hear these stories about these sheikhs that get on these Boeing 767s and they fly to the United States and they buy up every store and then they take all the crap back.
Right.
Because they can't buy it in their countries. Every American would be that wealthy. There would be no need for any social safety net except for those that are truly needy, and we'd have more money to take better care of them. So why aren't we doing it?
You tell me.
That is...
You tell me.
Because the Republican Party is uninspiring. They are timid and afraid of their own shadow. And like the Democrats, they seem most concerned about one thing and one thing only, and that's their own political power.
Do you think they actually believe anything? Because I don't. I don't think Mitch McConnell believes in a damn thing.
I think, unfortunately, everything is viewed through the prism of power. And they have made a decision that not rocking the boat is in their best political interest, and it's about winning. It's not about solving the country's problems. And as a result, the country suffers.
I think they also are progressives. A lot of them are progressives. They believe in the big government.
How does any Republican that's part of an alternative party, supposedly the opposition party, how do they sign off on giving Barack Obama a blank check when we have $17 trillion in debt?
How do people like Mike Huckabee actually say that he's against Common Core when he was the head of NGA when Common Core started, and then come out and say, just change the name? I mean, that is progressive city. Progressive city.
Look, there's got to be the emergence of this. The only way this is going to happen is going to be bottom up. The only way this is going to happen is if the American people are tired of being sick and tired of being dependent. Did you ever think you'd hear the CBO director actually say that people are going to become so enamored with their Obamacare subsidy that it'll create a disincentive for them to work anymore?
No, we said that. I know you said that, and I said that, and we were called crazy. And now they're saying it because it's a good thing.
I grew up in a different universe.
I know.
I grew up in a world. It's funny. I grew up washing dishes at 12, delivering papers at 8, bussing tables, waiting tables,
and nothing
tending
wrong
bar.
with it.
No, not only nothing. I'm the person I am today because of all of those jobs that I did. So anyway,
let me just ask you this.
That's my answer.
I heard rumor that that Hillary is actually not going to run.
She might not. I don't think she's healthy.
That's what I heard. That she is not healthy enough to run.
I think there may be truth to that. I think she had an incident. If you go back about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah. I honestly thought it was to escape at the time, to escape the Benghazi thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it was.
I from what I hear, she might have had some incident that was
significant.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that we don't know that?
If you could choose now the 2016 presidential candidate, who would you pick?
The candidate, it would be between Rand Paul or Ted Cruz. I don't know.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, thank you so much.
Hey, this is great. Thank you for having me.
We'll.
By the way, there's a big conspiratorial meeting I hear taking place today. Is that true?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I hear that
conspiracy theory.
Did you hear that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know, Sean.
I don't. It'd be wrong. It'd be wrong if we all started to get together and
I'm going
talk.
to go steal your food. Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.